In the gritty streets of 1970s Brooklyn, where loyalty was currency and betrayal was a death sentence, lived Tony Russo. From a young age, Tony idolized the local mobsters who ran the neighborhood. They had respect, power, and money, everything Tony's poor family lacked. Determined to escape poverty, Tony started running small errands for the local boss, Vito the Shark Mangano, at the age of 15. Tony quickly proved himself. He was smart, ruthless, and had a knack for staying one step ahead of the law. By 20, he was fully immersed in the life, climbing the ranks with alarming speed. He earned the nickname Quick Tony for his rapid rise and his ability to think on his feet. He was given control of a lucrative racket, collecting protection money from local businesses. With each job, he earned more respect and more responsibility. Tony's best friends were Jimmy the Fixer Falcone and Mikey 2x Romano. They were inseparable, handling jobs together and covering for each other when things got messy. Jimmy was the muscle, and Mikey was the smooth talker, but Tony was the brains, the one who always had a plan. Together, they were unstoppable. One night, Vito called Tony into his office. The room was thick with cigar smoke, and Vito's lieutenants lined the walls, watching as Tony approached the desk. Vito, an aging but still imposing figure, leaned forward, his eyes piercing. "Tony," he said, "there's a shipment coming in from Miami. I need you to make sure it gets here without any hiccups. It's big, real big. You handle this right, and there's a promotion in it for you." Tony nodded, understanding the gravity of the task. He knew the shipment was worth millions and that failure wasn't an option. The night of the shipment, Tony, Jimmy, and Mikey were on edge. They met the truck at a deserted warehouse near the docks. Everything seemed to be going smoothly until a rival gang, the DeLuca crew, ambushed them. Gunfire erupted, and chaos ensued. Tony, thinking quickly, led his crew in a counterattack, managing to drive the DeLucas away, but not before Jimmy took a bullet to the leg. They got the shipment to its destination, and Vito was pleased. Tony's quick thinking had saved the day, but he knew the DeLucas wouldn't forget this slight. Jimmy's injury only fueled Tony's determination to take down their rivals once and for all. Over the next few months, Tony orchestrated a series of hits against the DeLucas, dismantling their operations piece by piece. He showed no mercy, earning a reputation as one of the most feared men in Brooklyn. Vito was impressed and kept his promise, promoting Tony to a top position within the organization. With power came wealth, and Tony reveled in it. He bought a mansion, fancy cars, and showered his wife, Maria, and their 2 children with luxuries. But the life of a gangster was never simple. The more power Tony gained, the more enemies he made. The FBI began closing in, and tensions within the family rose. Mikey, feeling overlooked and jealous of Tony's success, started skimming money off the top. When Tony found out, he felt betrayed. Loyalty was everything to him, and Mikey had crossed the line. He confronted Mikey in a dimly lit basement, the air thick with tension. "You were my brother, Mikey," Tony said, his voice cold. "How could you do this to me?" Mikey, desperate and sweating, tried to explain, but Tony had already made up his mind. In a flash, he drew his gun and ended Mikey's life, the sound echoing in the silence. But the betrayal didn't stop there. The DeLucas, weakened but not defeated, saw their chance for revenge. They struck when Tony least expected it, attacking his home in the dead of night. In the chaos, Maria and the kids were taken hostage. Tony was devastated. He knew he had to act fast. With Jimmy's help, he tracked the DeLucas to an abandoned factory. The final showdown was brutal. Bullets flew and blood stained the concrete floors. In the end, Tony rescued his family, but at a great cost. Jimmy was killed, and Tony was left wounded. With the DeLucas finally crushed, Tony returned to Vito, only to find the old boss was planning to cut him loose. The FBI was getting too close, and Vito wanted to save his own skin. Realizing he had been used all along, Tony felt a rage he had never known. In a final act of defiance, Tony took out Vito and his loyalists, claiming the top spot for himself. But the victory was hollow. The FBI's net was tightening, and Tony knew it was only a matter of time before they caught him. In the end, Tony Russo, once the golden boy of the Brooklyn mob, was taken down by the very system he had outsmarted for so long. He was sentenced to life in prison, his empire crumbling, his friends gone, and his family shattered. As he sat in his cell, Tony reflected on his life of crime and power, realizing too late that in the world of gangsters, there were no happy endings.